Well, all in all a brilliant opening day at Cheltenham on Tuesday. Let it be known that the big stables have every right to claim their dominance in the biggest of the races, and there'll be no more popular trainer than Nicky Henderson after a memorable day. Now for Wednesday, let's get a couple of the handicaps out of the way. In the BetMGM handicap hurdle, this is just the sort of race that Dan Skelton targets, and I would think that this has been the aim for Katira for the spring season. The drying ground should be just the ticket, and this looks a very workable mark with the yellow clay heading the weights at 12 stone. So with decent form around here and Harry Skelton aboard, Katira looks primed for a big run. The yellow clay is classy enough, though might be a bigger danger with a bit more cut, and it's hard to ignore the appeal of Willie Mullins' Storm Heart, who's high enough in the handicap but is in, fine heart, at present you might say. Later on, in the Grand Annual, I think yet another big Cheltenham handicap can go to Dan Skelton with Be Aware. He ran in the Arkle trial at the autumn meeting, finishing a length and a half behind Henry de Bromhead's July Flower, but after just 2 starts since looks to have been kept for this. Possibly not graded quality but easily capable of winning this handicap from a feasible mark, so gets the nudge ahead of Ben Pauling's Van der Poel and Henry de Bromhead's in the pocket. Wednesday's nap is Elite Tomp, lining up in the feature, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Well, what a race we have in store. The lineup looks like almost total domination from the Irish runners, with Dan Skelton's Lodu Sud looking outnumbered and outclassed, I'm afraid to say. There's been so much noise about Majbro in the run-up to this Wednesday feature, but I'll take a risky gamble on Elite Tomp, who has his quirks, but can be brilliant on a going day. You'll read elsewhere that he cannot produce the goods at Cheltenham, but I don't think it's the course itself, but more which Elite Tomp turns up on the day. Anyway, the purist will go for Majborough, despite some erratic fencing along the way, but the punter in me thinks Elite Tomp is on offer at a huge price, so gets my gambler's vote. Caroline, what's your view?
Thank you, Mandarin. I do think that Majbro is a very good prospect for the Champion Chase, and Mark Walsh is right on it this week, so does look the one to beat. But, to my mind, Majbro gave away the Arkle here last year, with some poor jumping at the sharp end, but with cheek pieces on in the Dublin Chase the last day, you couldn't have laid a feather on him. If that Majbro turns up, he's winning this. But I do agree, boss, that Il Ete Tomp is the big threat.
For my next best, it has to be Romeo Coolio in the Brown Advisory. One of the outstanding Irish talents emerging last year, and so far his novice chasing campaign has been faultless. That said, he was made to work for his latest success by a very good Cargees in the Irish Arkle, just holding on by a neck. Form which has been franked after Tuesday, but at least he has returned to better ground here, though that does leave the question of stamina for this trip as an unknown. It's quite possible that Gordon Elliott thought this an easier task than the Arkle on Tuesday, given the depth of that field, and I suppose his win in the Drinmore over 2 miles 4 gives confidence Romeo Coolio has this trip in his range. Willie Mullins' Cade Doughty suddenly seemed to have arrived in the picture, putting stablemate Final Demand in his place last time out. But I'm hoping Romeo Coolio will see this out to win. Caroline, what's your view?
Well, on paper, boss, Romeo Coolio should be winning this, but I just wonder if Willie Mullins is going to pull one out of the hat with Cade Doughty. Mark Walsh didn't have to knock the spots off him to win the novice chase at Leopardstown the last day, and I do agree that he's somehow popped out of the black bag just now. So an interesting duel, I think. Why Kitzbühel has drifted so far in the betting, I'm not sure. So for me, there's plenty of each-way value with the Big Westerner also on my each-way list at the prices on offer.
To get things underway on Wednesday, in the Turner's Novice Hurdle, I'm sure that there'll be plenty of money down for Big Home Hope No Drama this end, but there's a very strong Irish angle to this race. It could be Willie Mullins that has the answer with King Rasco Grey, who looks the stable first string on jockey bookings, with Paul Townend getting the ride, but the Closutton yard is very well represented with Sober and Sortudo both having claims. In addition, Gordon Elliott has the easy-to-fancy Ballyfad, second to talk the talk in the Tattersalls Island Novice Hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival, and sure to come on for the extra trip. My suspicion is that this is going to Ireland, and with the ground getting quicker that puts King Rasco Grey at the top of my list. Caroline?
Yes, boss, I do think you've called this one right, in that the Irish runners hold the strongest hand. I have been looking at King Rasco Grey's run the last day, and I will be thinking that on the better ground there must be more to come, and maybe Paul Townend will be aware of that over this longer trip, so I'll be keen to see how the race tactics go. Ballyfad looks the one to watch out for, but Willie Mullins has got his youngsters going the right way, so King Rasco Grey it is for me.
A very particular challenge is the cross-country course, but it has to be Stumptown that can justify favouritism and land this for the second year. Obviously the big danger has to be Gordon Elliott's favourite de Champdou after he smashed it over this course and distance at the Trials Day in January, and he's a bit better off at the weights this time around. Gavin Cromwell's Vanilla and Martin Brassel's Desert Moorhouse complete my list, but Stumptown is the one to beat. To close the day on Wednesday is the Champion Bumper. It's always dangerous to dismiss Willie Mullins's runners in the Champion Bumper, so Love Sign Dornu gets my vote. By nature there's usually little form to go on for this, but he could not have been any more impressive than when rocking up at Naas back in January, so despite some inexperience, Pink Silks win the day over the Maroon of Jigginstown in the Irish Avatar and Jack Kennedy's Choice. Keep him company. A good closer to Wednesday, so hopefully no hearts broken with Love Sign Dornu.